Hello, welcome to People in Perspective. I'm Mike Schaffer, and my guest for this edition is Steve Hopkins, a history teacher at De La Salle High School in Chicago. Welcome to the show. Hi, Steve.
Hi, Michael.
So you're a teacher at De La Salle now. How long have you been teaching?
I've been a teacher now. This is my 26th year at De La Salle. I started way back in 1987 and just celebrated my 25th year last May, or in May, and now I'm starting my 26th year at De La Salle as a history teacher and a coach.
Yeah. And so you're a coach. What inspired you to become a coach?
It was a combination of things. First of all, I was a former athlete. I had played a couple of sports in college and high school. I played both tennis and basketball in high school and college. And some of the very influential people that were in my life were the coaches I played for. Dick Flays, who was at Downers Grove North now, and George Keene, one of my college coaches, and Thomas Kleeman, my college tennis coach. And as an ex-athlete, you want to give back to the sports that had been very beneficial to me. And both in the case of tennis and basketball, those were opportunities offered to me at teaching along with at De La Salle to do and to coach. So that kind of got me involved in that too. So I was able to get involved very early in my teaching career doing that.
So what teams do you coach now?
Presently, I coach the tennis team, and I'm the head varsity boys tennis coach, and I'm the head boys varsity golf coach. About 22 years ago, they asked me to start a golf team at De La Salle, and by default, I've been the head coach for the last 20-odd years. They haven't found anyone to replace me, and so I've been very grateful for that.
Yeah. So what are your successes while coaching at De La Salle?
Yeah, it's hard to measure, but I've had a lot of kids. One of the things you look for is, did you ever get a kid to the pros? And luckily I haven't unfortunately done that. I have had a lot of kids move on and play in college, which has been very successful. I had one player, Jason Beagle, a tennis player, took 5th in the state. I had another kid, Chris Powell, took in the top 32nd in the state for tennis, so I was very fortunate. I had a streak for about 10 years where I had gotten a kid from the IHSA regionals to sectionals in golf, and a couple of kids close to making downstate. I almost had my first golfer make it downstate last year. So in terms of state competition, that's been very successful. They've won a couple of Catholic League championships. I have a couple of Catholic League championship players. I'm more proud of the fact that most of the kids I've mentioned are all college graduates. And as an educator, that's one of the things that you like to see, that they've all gone on and graduated, have gotten on in their careers, and are doing quite well. So I take a lot of pride in that. Not only were they very good athletes for me, but they're also very good people and productive members of society. So it's been beneficial in that regards, and rewarding as a teacher and a coach, that after these years you see your kids do well.
Yeah. Have you had any failures while coaching?
Oh yeah, there are games when I was coaching basketball, and I had coached basketball at De La Salle for about 10 years. When I see some of my former players, I don't remember the wins so much, but I remember the losses. And I can tell specific plays and times where I made mistakes as a coach. And I get back to them after years, and I'll say, hey, I blew it as a coach, and I made a bad call there. And I put us in a bad position, and that was my fault. And as a coach, I think most people who have coached will say, hey, you remember the losses a lot more than you do the W's. And you remember the mistakes you made. And you feel bad because you put your players in a bad position. And that, they could have been successful had you not have been more successful. Yeah, I remember the losses a lot more. You forget the victories. You expect to win. So when you don't win, you tend to remember those and mull over those a lot longer.
Yeah. And so you're still coaching at De La Salle? I'm
still coaching at De La Salle. I'm still the head boys golf coach. I'm the head boys tennis coach. That season will start up in the spring. I still do some scouting for the varsity basketball team. I have a younger son who's getting close to being a school member, high school member there at D. He's probably going to end up going there, and I think once he goes back there, I'll go back to coaching basketball. But that keeps me pretty busy, along with teaching full-time and raising a couple of children here and being involved in their lives, coaching a little. I help with my daughter's little AYSO soccer team. I'm helping with my son's grammar school basketball team. So I have a pretty full plate, so that keeps me pretty active.
So you made it to the De La Salle Hall of Fame. what requirements did you have to make that?
Well, I was very honored over the summer. I got a call from the board of directors, one of the members of the board of directors, and they had elected me to the De La Salle Athletic Hall of Fame. I think it was a combination of longevity, the fact that I had been there that long and was willing to still coach those sports. The fact that for both of those sports, my school isn't really famous for. We're not known for being a golf school or a tennis school. It's an inner city boys Catholic high school. We do have a great basketball program. We've had a great football program over the years. I think the fact that I had produced a few Catholic League champions in those sports, which we're not expected to do well in. And again, really, I didn't have a whole lot to do with that. The kids were great, talented players, and I was able to go along for the ride. And you learn that in years of coaching, that you really, the players are the ones who make a difference, and you're kind of just there to guide them and be successful. But I think that was probably the reason why, is that I had produced a few champions in sports we're not really noted to produce champions in. And I think that was one of the reasons. And over the years, I had been somewhat successful with kids individually. Not so much team-wise, but individually. Some kids had had successes, and I think that's one of the reasons I was voted in. Plus, again, I think 20 years, plus years, I think either they were going to put me in the Hall of Fame or fire me, so I think that was the easier of the two things to do.
So how many years have you coached, like, basketball?
Basketball, I had coached for counting De La Salle, and I had coached at Maria High School, my first teaching job. I had coached basketball for about 13 years. And then when my children were born, I decided to retire from that, and I went. At one point in time, I was a three-sport coach. I was coaching golf in the fall, tennis and basketball during the winter, and tennis in the spring when I was young, and wasn't married. When I got married and we settled down and decided to have a couple of children, I decided to resign from basketball, help out still, and mainly be tennis and golf, because they happen to be spring and fall and open up my winters a little. The seasons aren't as long. Basketball has turned in almost to a year-round sport if you really want to do it well. I mean, my kid plays here at RB a lot, and you see the RB basketball program playing year-round, and it's become a year-round sport, unfortunately. I wish the kids would get a little break, but those seasons weren't as long.
All right, thank you for joining me on People in Perspective. I'm Mike Schaffer. Thanks for watching.